Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and we have Ryan here for another budget recap. Today we're going to be going over our January numbers.
You haven't asked me the question yet.
It's crazy. My January numbers.
Is it really? Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, she knows. Yes. So I'm talking about two major categories where it was almost double my budget limit. But I have good reason. There's good reason. And I had money for it. So we're going to be going over where our dollars went in January, my savings goals, Ryan's debt numbers and savings goals, and everything in between. Okay, so January, what a month. What a way to start the new year.
Yeah, right.
So for me, I had two major things happen. I did one of my Costco bulk grocery runs.
That makes sense.
Okay. So my usual budget for food is about $4.50 a month. Mm-hmm. I spent $9.30 in the month of January. Also, I spent $891 in my gas and car category.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have a good reason.
Good reason for that. I found out I needed new tires for my vehicle. It's 5 years. My vehicle is 5 years old. Wow. I've been driving it for 5 years. And I've never bought new tires in that time. And it was... I also never rotated my tires during that time. So it was time for new tires. So major budget busts in January for me. But I had sinking funds to cover a lot of it, which helped a lot. Did you sell your car?
Okay, about my car. So I had an appraisal meeting on Saturday. So a few days ago.
Appraisal meeting?
I guess they just told me what they would give me for my car.
Who?
CarMax.
Oh,
so I did go to CarMax. They're giving me about $3,000 less than what KBB says I can get it through a private seller. Mm-hmm. So I actually have a friend's friend who is looking for a car. So it kind of worked out. He's going to take a look at my car this week. And then this weekend, we'll see what happens. So I kind of held it off for him to see if he'll give me a better deal for it. I'm okay with the CarMax value of that, taking that $3,000 hit. I kind of expected that.
Plus then too, like you're not dealing with having to find the right buyer to go down the bank.
Exactly.
Because keep in mind, Ryan has a car loan.
Yeah.
So there are additional steps when you are selling a car because that person needs to know that he's going to get the title of that car once that loan is paid off.
Right. Whereas CarMax, they sound, this is what I gathered from what they told me. They will just cut me a check for what they owe. I put it towards my loan and then I pay off the rest. So it just sounds like a lot easier. I'm okay with that $3,000 if I do have to eat that cost. I'm okay with that because I feel like you said, it'll be so much easier of a process.
Yes.
So.
And sometimes, look, I've learned in my life, sometimes convenience.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be smart here. Smart convenience, but our time. Is more valuable than the money, say, you would pay or save.
Exactly. And I'm okay. It's not like, with my brother's car that he gave me, I don't have a car payment on that. So it's not like I have two car payments right now. So I'm okay, like I said, if I do have to eat that $3,000 difference,
and
I'm okay with it.
$3,000 difference, you would save that within a matter of months.
Exactly. So
because you're getting rid of essentially an over $500 car payment.
Right. Yeah.
I get it here.
So we're getting there. I never really thought that car, I mean, I get it now that I'm kind of in the process, but I never thought that selling your car was such a big deal.
Right?
I get it though. I get it.
It is a process too if you don't outright own the title.
Exactly.
That's what makes it the process. Is if, like a lot of people who are upside down on their cars, that's what becomes difficult because essentially you owe more on that car than what that car is worth.
Exactly.
And then if you're going to privately sell that, you have to sell it to a buyer who is willing to kind of go through those hoops with you of filling out additional financial paperwork to know that there's a contract for a title.
Right. And I feel like too, I don't know, I know if I were to take it to CarMax or any dealership, for example, they'd be doing, they'd be doing all of that and making sure that the car is okay. So I feel like as a buyer too, it's more appealing to go to those
Right.
CarMaxes or those dealerships just because of the process. You have something to back you up, I feel.
Right, like if you buy something personally,
Right.
okay, it's up to you
Exactly.
to take that car to a mechanic and
Yeah.
pay for the expenses to
Right.
make sure it's a good, not a lemon. You're not getting a lemon
Yeah,
car, right?
yep.
A lemon vehicle just, it looks good, but it's really
don't
not.
run good.
It's not. So that's awesome because
Yeah.
you're getting there.
Right. I
And
am.
your goal was to,
My goal is the end of January. I'm bummed, obviously, because I didn't hit that goal, but I mean, I'm glad that I'm just keeping the ball rolling,
you're
you know?
and you're being smart about it.
Yeah.
Patience, people.
I know. That's what, yeah, right? Patience. Yeah.
You don't want to ever jump into this type of financial decision
Right.
just because you're like, God, I just want to get it done.
Right.
I mean, think about if I had that mindset when I bought my house.
Yeah.
I'd be walking around with a 30-year mortgage
Yeah.
payment
Yeah.
hanging over my head
For
as,
sure.
as being
That's
self-employed
so
and
true.
being an entrepreneur.
That's so true. Yeah.
Because I would have just financed the damn thing.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
That's where I'm at.
So let's jump into looking at our budget by paycheck workbooks. All right, so the first worksheet we're going to look at is our monthly budget category breakdown. I'm using the budget by paycheck box set that has the individual little booklets, and Ryan is using the full size workbook, which you can see there's a big size difference. So like I had mentioned, it's bad. So one of the things I also wanted to bring up in this video is I wouldn't say it's a new term, but it's a new term in the way that I've ever described income. And I thought that introducing this new term might help people and make it more clearer. Inflow into our accounts and essentially cash flow in our lives. Mm-hmm. So anything that comes into your life, whether it hits your checking account or you receive some money as cash, it's an inflow into our lives that we either plan on spending, saving, or investing, or using it to pay off debt or whatever. So this month I did something different. Now I had a starting balance of $803. That's either money that I had sitting in my checking account on the first day of my tracking period. Ryan and I both track from the first to the last day of the month, or it's unused cash from the last tracking period. Mm-hmm. Now I broke down my inflow into my life into 3 different categories. Earned income, which is like my paycheck. Other income, like the money that Chris gives me, or I received a bonus, or child support that you might receive. Mm-hmm. And then my last breakdown of that is savings that I used. So I'm really bringing in detail into the inflow in my life, breaking it down into those 3 categories. So my total monthly inflow was $7,142. This is how I spent that money. Now, food, I spent $930 on food, which is $480 above my food budget, but I used my Costco sinking funds.
You had cash.
And that's part of the savings that I used here. I was able to save $162 more than what I had planned.
Nice.
Another big one, it was the $741 in my car category. Now let's take a look at that for one quick second. On my car category, you can see Les Schwab, I spent $812 on my new tires. And I only had $351 in my car maintenance fund. That's all I had.
Okay.
So the difference between $812 and the $351, I used my checking account cushion.
Okay.
This is a perfect example of how your checking account cushion can help deter you from using a credit card.
Yeah.
Most people would have just swiped their credit card.
For sure.
But I used 2 resources of savings in my life to cover that ginormous.
Saved you this time around.
Yeah, that ginormous cost that I had.
Yeah. So
that's how I took care of going over essentially my carb category. So if I'm over budget, I'm in pink. If I'm under budget, it's in green. I did well in other areas, like
oh wow,
$179 less under budget for my utilities. So my investment category. This is another new thing that you're going to be seeing from me this year. Before, when I made a contribution to my investments, I just put it under my savings category. But I said, hey, it's really important to note here that investing is very different than saving. So I broke the investment part out of my savings category, and now I have a new investment category.
Nice.
You might also notice that I have new category colors.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So I am trying out new category colors. I'm using the Zebra Mild Liners, the 25 pack. It comes with 25 different colors, and I thought, hey,
That's perfect.
that's perfect, and that's something I want to try. So these are my new budget category colors. So lots of new things happening with my budget.
Nice.
Different categories, some new categories. Also, I decided to get rid of my vacation category.
Okay.
I am now including it in my fun and entertainment category.
I see.
I'm simplifying, but also breaking down into detail where I further want to analyze and understand my spending. For instance, I'm looking at more investing. So I wanted to break it out of my my savings category because I want to separate it from what I'm saving for, like, say, my sinking funds.
Right.
So I have that new category. So I took away a category, but I added a category. But in my mind, it's simplifying for me.
Yep, for sure.
Because I'm doing it in a way where it's making sense to the things I actually want to know more about.
Exactly.
So that's where I was with where my dollars went in January.
Okay, so my starting balance was $1,100. I had income of $3,861.05 for a total of $496,105. I actually did pretty well this month.
Question.
Yes.
Question. The incoming income.
Yes.
Is this truly all earned income, or did you use any savings?
I did not use any savings for it. So my car maintenance, I did my older car, the one that I'm trying to use as my only car. There's some stuff wrong with it. It is a 2009, so there's some stuff wrong with it. There was a pretty bad wobble. I took it into Les Schwab, and it was just some wheel weights that were off. So that only cost me $25.30, and I just used my checking account cushion for that instead of having to transfer it back.
Perfect.
So that's that. But other than that, I mean, I was pretty under budget in
You were under in your food.
I know, by quite a bit. And I mean, my boyfriend and I have made like a diligent effort to stop eating out so much. So that is where that is coming from. But other than that, my gas went down a lot just because I'm driving my brother's car more often. So my gas mileage, I haven't driven my Escape, the car I'm trying to sell, in a little while. There was a bad snow day here that I drove it, but other than that, I'm just driving the Mazda. So that's drastically cut down my gas.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Debt, I was able to put a little over $1,100 towards debt, which is my car. Let's see.
And your savings, too.
In my savings, yeah. I made a diligent effort as well to contribute more to savings and debt, so I'm doing both. But as you can see, I put way more towards debt than I do to savings.
You're tackling both, but you have a priority.
Exactly. And I just kind of analyzed, all of my family is out of state, so if I want to go see any family, I have to pay for that plane ticket,
Yeah.
So I was realizing last year how quickly that was all adding up. So that's why I'm making a diligent effort to make sure that for those trips and whatnot, I'm prepared 100% in cash.
And you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So I was 11 cents off, but I did go back to using cash, only cash, except for my gas. So I'm doing what Miko's doing. So that would be why it would be 11 cents off.
I love that. So now we're talking about our monthly debt and savings breakdown. The point of these worksheets is to get you out of the mindset of not only how much you saved for your tracking period, but what did you save for?
Yep.
That's more important. Your savings priority and the way that you are contributing to those savings goals in your lives is important. So I don't have debt. So for me now, there is something that is really important that I need to note here. Usually in the past, I have taken my entire monthly inflow, so savings that I used, all the different income sources that I got, any money that I got from Chris, as a way to calculate my savings. That's okay if you want to do it that way. But what I realized when I started thinking about inflow into my life and really breaking that down into detail, the savings that I use I'm not resaving it for something else. I'm spending it.
Right.
The reason it is in my budget and my tracking expenses, my expense trackers, is because I'm spending the savings that I'm using. So if I calculate it like I used to, everything,
Right.
my total inflow was 7,142. And I saved $1,962 of that, which meant I saved 27% of my inflow.
Mm-hmm.
But the more accurate way to do this is, since I am not saving any of the savings that I used,
Yep.
right? So I did use, for instance, my Costco sinking fund. I'm not saving that money, I'm spending it.
For a purpose. You had a purpose for it, yeah.
So if I really only used earned income and other income for February or for January, my total inflow for this calculation would really be 6,403.
Yep.
Because I'm not counting the savings that I used.
Right.
Which means I really saved 30% of my income.
Yep.
Which is earned income or other income.
Which is more accurate, you know.
It is more accurate because I'm not saving money the savings that I'm using, if that makes sense. I know that's a little bit confusing. So when you're looking at calculating these transactions or these categories, like how much you saved, you need to ask yourself, what were my inflows into my life for this tracking period? And if you are using savings to spend money for that tracking period, then the amount of savings that you used would not be counted in this calculation.
Right. It'll throw your numbers off.
It would throw your numbers off. 3% off for me.
Right, and that's huge.
That's huge. So I am doing it differently going into the new year. I am more accurately pinpointing my numbers. Now before, using everything and counting it and calling it income was my way of simplifying the process for my readers to understand tracking your spending.
Right.
Money coming in, money going out. Money coming in is income, money going out is expenses. It's a very simplified way. However, though, the word income, I don't feel was accurate for some of the inflows happening in my life.
Yeah.
Such as using savings.
Right. Right.
It's not technically income, it's an inflow from another area of our life into our spending.
Yeah. It was income in another month.
It was income in another month that we're using this month. Therefore, it's an actual inflow.
Yeah.
It's an inflow that we use for our cash flow. That's, you know what I mean now?
Got it.
Yes. So I saved, if I want to do it more accurately, detailing the inflow, I really saved 30% of my income.
Okay.
So I saved $951 for my sinking funds, which is preparing for the future, holidays, events, goals. $20 for the $5 challenge, $99 that I saved for my 2021 savings challenge, not including the Christmas, because Christmas went up in my sinking funds. $792 went for landscaping.
Nice.
And here's what I'm doing with my pet fund. I started a new pet fund savings account. And for the longest time, I just roll over my pet envelope month to month to month. If I don't use it, I roll it over and it just keeps building and building and building. So I thought to myself, let's keep the amount of cash I have in that envelope down and really put the excess that I have in there into a dedicated savings account.
That's smart.
And
that
have it
makes
grow. And that's what's going to grow what I call my pet emergency fund.
Okay, nice.
I do have pet insurance, and that's only because I know and have had dogs in the past that had like $6,000 or $7,000 worth of surgeries.
Oh my goodness.
And so at least I can build my way up to no longer needing the pet insurance.
Right.
That's my plan.
Okay.
You're right.
Okay, so I do have debt. So my debt section is filled out. My total monthly income is $4,961. I put about $1,100 to debt, which, like I said, is about 23% of my income went towards debt. 96% of that went towards my car. So about $1,100 towards my car and $50 towards my student loans.
That's about $25 past your minimum though, right?
It is. And I'm paying $50. Instead of $25, I'm paying $50.
Until you get the car figured out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Now over to my savings, I saved $694, which is about 14% of my income. And these are all the different categories. So 114 from my savings challenges, 368 from preparing for the future. This is new. So
I see that.
112 for house. And what I decided to do is this was money that I had left over in my cash envelopes after my January 5th paycheck. So any money that I saved from my cash envelopes, I'm dedicating that towards buying a house. I would like to buy a house in the next 2 years. And my goal right now, as you guys probably know, is to be debt free by the end of this year. So shortly after that, I would like to start focusing on a house.
That is so
crazy.
exciting.
It's so crazy. Cody and I were talking about that yesterday. We just can't believe that we're there. So that's what that's from. Just any unused cash from my envelopes, I'm dedicating towards my house just to slowly get that going.
Yes.
And
Momentum.
Then, yeah. Yeah. And then, and I feel like it makes me excited too, that I actually see this in here and I'm like, oh yeah, but I know I have to get rid of my car first. So it's pushing me even more. So
yes.
The last one, I put $100 towards my emergency fund. It's at $3,000 now. I want to get it to $7,000. So every paycheck, I just send $50 to it. So $100 a month towards my emergency fund.
You're getting there.
I am. So
Yeah.
that's where my savings.
So it's like you started with that. I mean, you started with a smaller emergency fund.
I started with
obviously.
1,000. Yeah.
You start with 1,000 and you're growing.
Yeah, and then I went to 3,000, and now I just want to hit 7. Just
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And you're doing it though while you're working on other things.
yeah. And I make sure, I feel like I make sure that most, I put $1,100 towards debt. So that's still my focus. I just don't want to totally neglect everything else that's
Oh,
important.
hey,
kind of
I
thing.
get it.
Yeah.
That's me.
Right.
That's me.
Right.
Okay, so next one. Okay, so we're going to look at mine first. Now, we are looking at my monthly spending comparison. So we're looking at January spending versus December. This was wonky for me because in December, I still had my investment category in my savings.
Oh, that's right.
So when you compare savings from this month to last month, it looks like I saved a lot less, but I didn't because I have an investments category now down
You just
here.
broke it off. I see.
So if you really add my savings to my investments, I really saved and invested more in January than I did in December.
Okay.
So it was wonky because I changed my categories.
Right.
So I'm calling this a transitional month. I'm transitioning into new categories, so I just have to be mindful of that when I'm looking back at these.
Yeah.
So if it's in red or pink, I spent more in January than I did in December. If it's green, it's less than. There are some big pinks, and I only had a slight increase.
Oh my gosh, $9.
$9 increase in my inflow this month compared to last month.
Yep.
But you can obviously see where I went
Right,
over. And,
right.
my food and car being my biggest amounts,
Yep.
I just use savings for that.
Yeah.
I use sinking funds and my cushion for that. All right, so my February starting balance is $983, which is more than my January starting balance. So I have been using my cushion a lot.
Right.
I was under.
Yeah, true.
I was under my $1,000 that I like to have, and that's why I budget $280 a paycheck.
Yeah.
To grow that back
For
up.
sure.
You use it. Sometimes you save it all.
Yeah,
Sometimes you break
right.
even in your checking account cushion. But that's why I budget for that as like a bill, so I can always ensure at least I'm building it back
Exactly.
up, even if it's in a slow way.
Right.
So that's where my biggest one, I guess too, like if you look at my utilities,
Oh yeah, you had that huge bill in December.
in December, I had that huge bill. It was like
Wow.
$700.
$609 difference. Wow.
And I went on to comfort level billing because this is my first year in my house, and until I get a better understanding and really look at how my heat bill and my utility bill, how that really works living here, I wanted to get more on a comfort level billing so I knew exactly what my bill was going to be. I will eventually get off comfort level billing when I feel like I can be better prepared and have the knowledge and the numbers to analyze that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, utilities was a huge jump
That was
down.
huge.
I mean, in December in January, it was 13% of my inflow or my income, and then
It's only 4. Wow.
I know. It's only 4% in January.
Wow.
So huge jump.
Yeah.
I mean, this difference covered where I spent so much in
Right.
other areas,
Right.
obviously. So, and then Jamesy, I spent a little bit more on him in the month of January.
Okay, so mine, I got a this is total monthly income change was less by $3,000, $3,300. In December, I had a bonus, and I also got my stimulus check during that last couple days in December before I closed up my budget. So that's why there's that huge drop in my income from December to January. Other than that, I mean, anything in red means that I spent more in January than December, and anything in green means I spent less. So I did spend more in food, which was kind of expected. I took a trip to go see my mom in December, so that's why this food expense was so low. I was less in my personal category, more in my house. Let's see, I put less towards debt just because I had such a huge income spike in December. I spent $50 more on my dog. Let's see, $2 difference from my utilities, and I saved. This was another drastic one just because I sent $2,000 in December to savings, and only $694 in January just because my income was so much higher. Car maintenance, like I said, I had to go take my car in, and then starting balance was about $220 difference.
So, one of the things, what's the purpose of this page, of this worksheet? Are you being successful with the short-term goals that you are setting yourself, tracking period to track period, month to month? And one of those ways you look at that is your spending.
Yeah.
So for me, one of my goals always is to always try to lower my pet budget if I can. If I can. And you see, I do it in small ways. So in January, I spent $222, but in December,
Right.
I spent $256. I spent $34 less. Hey, that was something I told and challenged myself to do. I'm being successful. Guess what? That's progress.
Yeah, for sure.
That's progress.
For sure.
And I know that there is obviously a bottom line to my pet budget. Like I know I always have to buy food, cat litter. My dog has allergies. So I know there's always a bottom line, but that doesn't mean that I can't challenge myself to spend less in other areas in that category.
Right.
Like for instance, he doesn't need a bone every time I go to the store.
I totally get that.
He doesn't need a toy every single time I step outside the house.
I totally get that.
So this is what keeps me mindful.
Right. That's kind of how I am too. I just see trends, Am I overspending like consistently? Do I need to reevaluate that, or am I making that progress that I want to?
Like 5 months in a row you've seen your food budget every single month you're spending more than you did last month. Well, ding ding ding, red flag. There's a reason why you're
what's
doing
going on.
What?
Yeah.
Are you more busy? Are you leaning more on convenience and eating out? Are you spending more at the grocery store because you have to bring your kiddos into the store because they're no longer in school? They're doing online learning.
Right.
There's a bunch of different things that really makes you notice, like, hey, this is the reason I didn't hit that short-term goal.
Right. Exactly.
Or this is why I did.
Yeah, and this is what I'm struggling with.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it could be I'm not making any progress.
Right.
Well, you are.
Yep.
Like, this $34.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen as progress if I
Exactly.
wouldn't have done this comparison.
Totally.
34 doesn't seem like a lot, but guess what? You do that month after month after month after month. Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah, you keep challenging yourself.
Right.
Yep.
So these are the 3 worksheets we use when we are closing out our budget. So that's what happened with our dollars in January, February. For me, the only thing I have really coming up in February is I have Valentine's Day, obviously, that I have already taken care of. So I don't have to worry about that. I'm using a sinking fund savings that I saved for. Other than that, I have something coming up in March.
Right.
A short trip happening in March, but I'll be talking about that as we move closer to that. But other than that, February is pretty quiet.
That's how it is for me too. Besides Valentine, sell my car.
Let's
Said
not
that in
jinx
January.
it.
I know, right? Whatever progress I make, I'm going to be happy with. And then Valentine's Day. Other than that, February, not much going on for me.
Not a whole, I know.
Yeah,
It seems
February is just kind of one of those.
this is the way I look at it. It's like when you hit February, it's that downslide into spring. Like we're getting there.
Yeah, we are getting
We are getting there.
We
And
are.
you know, I'm happy with winter. Hey, I like the change of seasons. It's why I decided to live in Washington.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, snow and cold gets old really fast. For me.
For sure.
For me.
I feel that.
And so when we get into February, and most of the time in the state of Washington, what happens is January tricks us.
Yeah, right.
It's
We
like-
think it's spring.
Yeah, it's like really warm, and we're like,
Yeah.
ooh, we didn't get a winter this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then February comes and it dumps on us.
Right. We've even had snow in like March and the early April
Yeah,
before.
I know. And so, but I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm over the hump.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like over the hump of coldness, like
Yes.
consistent coldness
Yes,
for sure.
like February, because right after February comes March.
Right.
And then March comes April.
Yep.
And then we're really hitting spring. So
Yep.
the way I look at it is it's like, it may be a quiet time for me.
Embrace it.
Embrace it.
Yeah, right?
Embrace it because we're getting to the warmer weather.
Yeah.
So that is our full budget recap. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe. Hi. Check the